So once again, I'm pretty glad that I got out this weekend because, well, not just this weekend but today, because yesterday was grey skies and quite a bit of rain, and today is grey skies but sort of clearing, and it's not raining at the moment. Could be some light rain, but maybe some nice light breaking through as well. I'm heading into a place where I went a little while ago in one of my earlier vlogs. Kind of wanted to go back because I didn't quite shoot the composition that I wanted, so I'm going back to try and finish that off today. Hopefully get the kind of light that I was hoping for when I was in there last time, which didn't quite occur really. We've got pretty dull, even lighting conditions. Bit of high cloud around, so there's a little bit of soft sunlight poking through before. And I'm hoping that it's clouds are going to stay the way they are. It's not going to burn off and let too much sunlight in, which will just blow out what I'm trying to shoot. Just love getting into these lush bush scenes, bush places, trees covered in moss, and just the soft light breaking through. Once again, glad I got out today. It'd be so easy just to sit back at home today and muck around on social media, just because it's a bit of a grey day, and kind of think on grey days that there's not much to shoot, but the New Zealand bush on a grey soft light day like today, just with a little bit of light rain perhaps coming and going and a bit of soft light breaking through, is ideal. Not too far off my destination now. The weather is playing ball. It's doing what I hoped it would do, and just staying nice, even, soft light. And I've even got a waka waka fantail, New Zealand native fantail, following me because I'm disturbing the little insects which they like to eat. Made it in here. It's a bit of a mission actually. I always forget how tough it is actually to get into some of these places. I was just thinking back on the last trip, I thought it was just quite easy getting in there, but it wasn't. And the last part, getting down into the creek here, is pretty slippery, so I actually slid down and actually cut myself. You might not be able to see that, but actually cut myself, and the rocks here are quite slippery with the moss on top of some quite steep rocks, slippery rocks getting down, so got to be a bit careful. So just about to set up here, and I'm going to try and shoot in this area here. I'm sitting on this log. What I want to do is have the camera moving from one side of the log to the other, so I really like the moss and green of the surrounding surrounds of the stream, the sides of the stream, especially on the logs and that. So I just want the camera moving past that, sliding past that across on the rail. So that's the objective. I decided I wasn't happy with the composition here, so I'm repositioning things, moving the setup around. I don't recommend doing this with the camera and the panning head mounted to the rail. You can see what I'm doing here, and it looks a little bit precarious, especially when you're close to a body of water like this. Best thing would be to take the camera off the panning head, and maybe even take the panning head and any other electronic equipment off the rail if you're going to reposition things like this. So here's the deal here. If you want to really focus your shots, best way to do it is to manually focus and to punch in with the zoom function. You should have on modern cameras now, so you can zoom right in, actually zoom right in there, and then just manually focus your lens until it's sharp. Really for this one you want to pick a point that's kind of the hyperfocal point. I'll probably explain that in a later video, but so that's kind of a point that's maybe about a third of the way into the foreground. Probably not explaining it that well, but it's not a point that's really close to the camera. It's not a point that's a long way away from the camera. It's a point sort of in the middle foreground, I guess, to really make sharp. This is a 600 frame shot, f16 at 2.5 seconds with a 4 second interval, and it's going to be 600 frames moving from one side of the rail to the other. This shot now is probably about 400 of the 600 frames that I've set. I'll probably do another shoot here. This is at 2.5 second shutter speed, but I might try one that's a bit slower shutter speed, so say 3 or 4, 3.5, maybe 4 second shutter speed. But that's probably going to take will require a longer interval just to make sure that there's a long enough buffer between the end of the shutter speed and the file being stored on the card on the camera, but also for the movement to happen. So it just need sort of at least a second, probably 2 seconds for the movement on the slider to happen whilst the shutter's closed. Pretty cool being here. Bit of a breeze getting up right now actually, so that's probably what I don't want, but it's pretty relaxing here. Just nothing much else to do but chill out. I've waiting for a 600 frame time lapse, so it's not a bad spot to be just chilling out. So I've just set a second time lapse going, and as I say, I wanted to increase the shutter speed, so just to drag it out a bit to blur the water a bit more. So I've gone for a 4 second shutter speed on this one. It's the same setup as last time, so it's the same pan and slide. I got a bit lazy there, I didn't want to really adjust things. So I've gone for a 4 second shutter speed. It's at f16, 50 ISO, and we're at 5.5 seconds, so that's a 1.5 second buffer between the shots, just to allow enough time for the move and for the file to write to the card. That first setup I had a 2.5 second shutter speed. It was actually set at 1 stop under exposed, which is something I quite often do with my landscape photography, just a way to ensure that I don't blow out the highlights. I still look at the histogram and check that the histogram's not overflowing on the right hand side, so I'm not blowing out any highlights. There's quite a difference here between the dark shadow areas and the white water. And the white water is probably always going to be flowing out, even at one stop underexposed. This shot here is actually not quite one stop underexposed, a halfway between correct exposure and one stop under. Should be able to pull down the highlights and still retain enough detail, though there's not a lot of detail obviously in the blue white water anyway. It's just a matter of making it look at least not overexposed. I'm pretty lucky with the weather in here. The light has stayed really even. There was a little bit of wind before, and wind is kind of the enemy when you're doing long shutter speeds, slow still frame. Just hoping that the wind doesn't, the breeze doesn't come in again during this shoot, and that light just stays beautifully soft and flat the way it is. What would really be the icing on the cake here is just a little bit of mist coming in, but can't have everything. Well, that concludes that shoot. That was a cool day spent out in the beautiful lush bush, New Zealand bush. I'm glad I got out and did something. What an awesome day out. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the content, and if you do, consider subscribing to my channel and clicking the notification bell, and you'll get notifications of when I post something new and you can follow along. Thanks again, and see you in the next video. Catch you later. Had an awesome day. So glad I came out today. I could have just mucked around at home and done nothing, but I got to spend a day just chilling out in the New Zealand bush, shooting a couple of time lapses. Doesn't get much better really. I mean, normally on days like today people think, well, you know, it's not worth it going out and doing anything, but for a photographer and trying to shoot bushscape, bush scenes, dim light scenes, low flat light, it is exactly what you want. So yeah, kind of there's always something you can shoot.